What I forgot to say on part A was that both people with anorexia and people with bulimia often seek assistance, not in helping them cure themselves or treat themselves from these lifelong conditions, but often lifelong, but people who help them be more successful at it, either online or as part of their peer groups. This is part B, drug use and abuse. Drug abuse is the harmful use of alcohol or any other drugs. There's a scat of them out there as far as it goes. Dependence or addiction is where you psychologically or physically require the drug of choice or drugs to cause you to allow you to feel normal. It happens because your body our brain starts to need the drugs and feels bad if they don't have it or if it doesn't have it. Particularly, you're 4 times more likely to become addicted to a substance if you start using it before 15 than if you wait until later. That's because you are building and training your brain on the drug. It will change the way your prefrontal lobe develops, causing you to be more likely to require the drug. A lot of it has to do with self-medication, whatever the situation. Some people, there is definitely evidence for addictive genes, so you can look at it in your family, but also just how your family deals with drugs and alcohol. If there's a lot of abuse in the family, it's liable to happen. If people are difficult, have ADHD, bipolar, depressive, Asperger's, they may use this to treat, to self-medicate instead of going and seeking help. We can see a lot of things in people early on as far as these problems that tend to lead towards this. Being rejected, alienated, rebellious is problematic. And again, some people think that it's real fun to watch their toddlers get drunk or stoned, stagger around, fall around and stuff. Alcohol, marijuana, tobacco are considered the most available adolescent drugs as far as gateway. I really don't think that if you try these, they're going to lead you to heavier drugs. Is really supported by a great deal of research. Tends to be more, if you are the type of person who tries these kind of things, then you are the type of person who is more likely to go on and to try other drugs. Tobacco kills 300,000-400,000 people a year. Alcohol, 50 to 100,000 people a year. Marijuana, we don't have much evidence that it kills any people. Problem with tobacco is it kills those or harms those around the smoker. Problem with alcohol is that it tends to be dangerous to anybody on the road, as well as the people directly around the person drinking. So it really is involved in a large number of automobile accidents, deaths, a large number of violent crimes, home abuse and violence in the home. It's pretty nasty stuff when it's abused by some people. Some people who are real nice people get real ugly under alcohol. As far as the war on alcohol goes, we are pretty hypocritical. A lot of the kids are now just going to mom and dads and grandparents' medicine cabinets and partaking of their drugs of choice. So it's not just these. There's new ones all the time, and there's lots of natural plants, that are psychoactive. Actually, nicotine is what's in tobacco, but caffeine is the most commonly used psychotropic mind-altering drug in the world. So I don't expect really for people to quit changing their brain chemistry anytime soon. Depression increases, seems to be more familial rather than environmental in adolescence and adulthood. Girls and women will suffer more often than boys and men. And these are some of the signs of depression. Main causes of death, 3 here are real high, and it really kind of depends on who you are, where you live, which one of these are going to be. Number 1. So vehicular accidents, number 1 for teens in general. Firearms, number 2, and lots of them, but that also includes suicides and murders as far as it goes. So 1/3 of all injury deaths, I'd say that's probably not just adolescents. But if you are a African American male in an inner city, homicide generally by firearm is the most likely cause of death. Suicide's number 3 around the thing. Across the board, as far as adolescents, about 1/4 of U.S. high school students have seriously considered suicide. Just from my unofficial, unscientific polls, I'd say that the ones who at least thought about it would be a lot higher than that. If you are identified or you identify yourself as part of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community, this tends to be the number 1 cause of death for your group. Excuse me. Okay, we have finally reached Piaget's last stage of development, formal operations. We can now think abstractly according to Piaget. Abstract thought means that you can think about things you have no experience with. You can think about things that maybe don't exist at this time, or it's getting past just that concrete thought, those concrete thought processes where you have to have something that you have experienced, you've weighed, you've looked at, you've sensed. Tends to be more flexible in the way of dealing with information. It's a little easier to step back and look at things from different points of view. Piaget thought it usually develops around age 11 with the start of that prefrontal lobe brain growth. This definitely has emotional implications throughout, particularly early adolescence. Hypothetical deductive reasoning is what we see here is this is scientific thought processes, or using the scientific method as thought. Figuring out how to do things, how to problem solve. You come up with a hypothesis, you try it, see what you need to do to change things, see what works, what didn't, change what didn't work, see if that works better. I use the example of the seesaw. If you've got a large child on one end and a small child on the other, that's problematic. Children tend to think, well, add another small child on the other end, and that allows it more weight and balances it out. A more adult way of looking at it, or a more scientific way of looking at it is that can work, but if you don't have another child, you can move the larger child towards the center, and that allows the balance to occur. So if you can't figure it, one way doesn't work, you come up with another way. Brain maturation, that prefrontal lobe growth, all those connections that are happening helps also experience, having more and more opportunities to learn. So again, even now, those learning opportunities, those sensory opportunities are real important. So keep urging your children, adolescents, to explore different things, because the more they explore, the more they stimulate those parts of the brain, the more they'll keep. Some of the evaluations, he underestimated small children and infants. He did not think they were as smart as intelligent as they actually are. And a lot of people will never really become completely abstract thinkers, formal processors. More will within their specialty areas because they get so much experience there. What was this? So they get lots of experience in a certain area, they start to think abstractly about it, but lots of people, in the areas that suffer tend to be the ones that we get upset about. Religion, politics, sex. When strong emotions are triggered, our ability to think abstractly suffers. We tend to regress in our thought processes. So there's certain areas where people think better abstractly, certain areas where people think less well abstractly. Some of us do okay across the board, some of us not at all. He also did not deal with the context of the situation, what children, what adolescents know. Again, I've used this again and again, I hope we remember it. If you're going to ask subway questions of a child in the city, it should probably be about trains. If you're going to ask subway questions for somebody from a place like Lubbock, Texas, it should be about sandwiches, because the context of their development is different. What they know is different. Elkind said we have immature aspects of thought, idealism and criticalism. We stop idealizing our parents and our role models and start becoming critical of them. We start to understand different ideals as far as it goes, a perfect world, perfect justice, that sort of thing. Argumentativeness. Again, I have pointed out, as I've pointed out in childhood, a lot of people still do these things, so a lot of us are fairly immature in the way we think about things. Argumentativeness, adolescents, teenagers know it all by osmosis. They don't have to have any experience with it at all. They just hear a term and they know what it means, all the scientific studies behind it, much better than actual parents, teachers, or experts in those areas. Indecisiveness, since they can see so much more of the situation, a more complete picture of what's going on, they start to understand there are many different ways to deal with it, and many costs and benefits to each way of dealing with it, so they have to figure out a way to weigh those out. They've got all this new hardware and they're just not very good at using it yet. Parent hypocrisy, that's knowing that something should or shouldn't happen, telling other people whether they should or shouldn't be doing it, and then doing it or not doing it your own self, apparently as a hypocrite. No, you shouldn't drink and drive, give me your keys. But I've been drinking and driving, I can handle it, it's not a problem. Self-consciousness is imaginary audience. You're the center of attention for everybody. I use the example of cutting a fart in English and everybody's going to remember it, or having that big zit, third eye in your forehead and not being able to go to a dance because everybody would see it. We're all so self-focused that most of the time that's all we're looking at, so that I wouldn't worry about it. Specialness and invulnerability, I think, may be the most dangerous and sad. Let's say sad and dangerous. Specialness is just your personal fable that you are going to make a huge difference in the world, you're going to be somebody, you're going to be remembered, famous, rich, whatever the case may be, and it turns out most of the time that you're just a lot like the rest of us, and that's kind of a hard thing to learn. It's hard to learn for ourselves. It's hard to watch our children learn these things. Invulnerability is more dangerous. They're not going to dive. They can drive fast. They can drive wildly. They can handle it. Car wreck's not going to kill them. They don't need to wear their seatbelt. They don't need to wear their helmet when they're on a motorcycle. They don't need to wear a condom when they're having sex, because bad things are not going to happen to them. Losing people in similar accidents close to them sometimes helps get them past that. Language development, we can now use those abstract concepts to discuss abstract things. Love, freedom, justice are all abstract. God is an abstract to most people, at least after they hit puberty. In childhood, God tends to be a pretty concrete thing. Most of us, if we were raised with God, probably had a picture in our heads of what God was like. Most people in adulthood adolescence, adulthood, come to understand that God, as often perceived, is really too abstract to have a concrete way of looking at. Is God male or female? How much does God weigh? There's lots of questions like that. And that's same. How much does freedom weigh? How much does justice weigh? Can we all agree on exactly what love is? Frequent conditionals, I recommend. Avoid those absolutes. Use words like tend to, often, frequently, seldom, few, many, because it is almost never, always, or never as far as talking about things. That keeps you from looking like an idiot. You can always say, well, I didn't say always or never. I said, hopefully, a different word. Moral reasoning, Kohlberg's moral reasoning also goes along with our ability to think. In early childhood, we tend to obey because we're punished or rewarded for it. We give something to get something. So you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Then as we learn social expectations and internalize those expectations, we come along with treat others like you want to be treated. Then a lot of us start to become concerned about the world outside ourselves and feel empathy for people who have less than us or go through problems like we have gone through or that we understand. Then as we get older into adolescence, adulthood, legal rights, contracts, democratic laws. But even then we tend to understand, a lot of us, that not just because it is a law does not mean that it is right or just. Laws change over time. Women used to not could vote. Whites used to could own. Blacks. People thought these things were not just, and they changed the laws. That kind of leads us to the universal ethical principles. What's good for one is good for all. Not true, I don't think equality is there, but fairness. When I think about people who did practice these, the three that really pop up into I'll go with four, that really pop into my brain is Mother Teresa, who gave so much to so many, and then some that really made huge changes in the world and societies as far as the way they looked at things. We can start with Jesus, who changed a religion to make it more fair, more forgiving, more loving. We can look at Mahatma Gandhi, who changed India and the world, Asian world. Martin Luther King, who changed the United States and a lot of the Western world and the way we view race and ethnicity. And again, these people all did major things to change the world because they saw things as unjust. And the last three, the guys, all were killed for it, all assassinated. School achievement, we've talked about these a number of times. Self-efficacy, if you believe you can do it, you can do it, generally do it. If you believe you can't do it, you generally aren't going to be able to do it. Parenting styles, authoritative tends to work better. Permissive, uninvolved parents, their kids tend to not do the work at all. Not understand the things that they need to do to be successful. Authoritarian, they tend to only do the work when somebody's making them do the work. Ethnicity, minorities generally have less achievement, except for Asian Americans. Peer influences, whether the people you hang with are into school, at least school achievement, or whether they're into other things, that does have an impact. And gender, females seem to be doing better about school achievement in general compared to males, particularly going on to college. Dropping out of high school, numbers reach, this says 3.8, but that's on 1 year, so go over 4 years, 4 times, call it 16% or so, drop out throughout high school. If you are a Hispanic male living in the city, poor Hispanic male in the city, the dropout rates are closer to 30 to 40%. This is problematic. Being active in school, having a family that thinks it's important to be involved in school, to being able to afford extracurricular activities. Small class size, we're going opposite to that direction with all the budget cuts and such, all the problems. Warm and supportive school environment. I talked about it back in middle childhood. When children start school, that's when they start to have a history. And that early history does impact both how the children view school and how the schools view the children. Fairly often by adolescence or shortly after the start of adolescence, the school environment may not be supportive to all students. Early education programs are important to give at-risk youth, children, a start. Unfortunately, at this point in time, I went too far, sorry. Too much, sorry, I went too far. When we look at school now, there's really not much provided for non-college bound. Our governor and a lot of people say everybody should be at least treated as though they are college bound regardless. I think that increases the dropout rates. I think we need to increase funding. We cut funding to vocational tech programs. I think we need to put the funding back into them, make education relevant to all students and not just the middle upper class, and the smaller proportion of poor who are going to go to college, and make it relevant to the ones who don't see college as a possibility. It doesn't mean that they can't go to college later. It just means that they're not planning on it when they're in high school, and that's when we need to keep reaching them.